Welcome, Sainers. Wait for a few people to tune in, and then feel free to comment your thoughts. Tell me what you thought of the game from wherever you were watching it. I unfortunately have flown over to Adelaide and got amongst it in the crowd with a lot of the Port Adelaide fans. Great bunch of people, by the way. They're fantastic. Constantly calling out to Port Adelaide players to punch our players' heads in and laughing about it, and just classy stuff. So stay classy, Port Adelaide. Keep it up. From our end, I wish I could go into this review talking about the game and talking about the tactics of the game, and maybe that's why we lost. But it's the same old shit, isn't it? It's the same old stuff. It's not even that. It's just pressure. It's just the intensity. It's the attitude, the mindset of these blokes. You know, you're just sitting there thinking, they're not trying. They're not doing what they can do. You know, I thought Zach Jones's first half was great in the middle of the ground, and in the last quarter I see him at centre half back or a half back flank. What the fuck? Like, why is he there? Why did we bring in Joyce? You know, what did he do that helped us so much tonight? You know, Max King wanting it on top of his head constantly. You're not going to mark it on three of them, mate. It's not going to happen. Get on your bike and move around. You know, again, I'm looking at the stats here, and I didn't want to look at the stats, but this justifies the lack of effort. Whether we're not fit enough, I don't know. Whether we just don't give a stuff right now. And I've heard a few rumours about some things going on in the four walls of Moorabbin, and I'm not going to announce them here, but that wouldn't surprise me as to why we're playing the way we are, to be honest. But just looking at the stats, guys, out of the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 players on the ground, 13 of them are Port Adelaide players. 13 had more possessions out of the 15. Guess who the two in the 15 are? One of them's, you know who it's going to be. It's going to be Jack Steele, right? You know it's going to be Jack Steele because he turns up every week in, week out, win or loss. Jack Steele is doing what Jack Steele does best, and that's getting the ball, that's playing tough footy and leading by example. The next one was Seb Ross. He had the most on the ground by any Saint, 31. Followed by Jack Steele at 27. The next best, when you go past the 8 or 9 Port Adelaide players that had touches, Hunter Clark at 18. We had 311 disposals tonight, guys. Port Adelaide had 461. That must be a record. They had 150 more disposals than us. No team is ever going to win the game if you give the opposition, especially one that's as good as Port Adelaide, on their home deck with forwards like Charlie Dixon, you give them 150 more touches of the ball, you're not coming out of there with the 4 points. There is no chance that's happening. You know? I thought the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought we were good. We slowed them down. They couldn't rebound. It seemed like our structure was good. It was just the execution that was the problem. At halftime, I was thinking, the structure for once is there, but the execution isn't. We missed so many chances in that first quarter. We kicked, I think, 1-4 or 1-5 to their 4-1 or something. We should have been ahead at quarter time. We had that many chances. We had, I think, 18 inside 50s to 7. In the end, the inside 50 count, you wouldn't believe it, but it was 52-52. It was dead even. We had as many opportunities going forward with 150 less disposals, and we couldn't do shit with it. You know, Jack Higgins kicks a goal out of his ass. Brad Hill kicks a goal, and he doesn't do that often. Max King didn't get close to kicking a goal tonight. Tim Membry tried hard, but it wasn't working out. It's as if he has to move up the ground to get the ball because the ball's not coming in a way that's going to benefit any of our forwards. And, you know, we out-tackled them tonight. We did a few things right, but there was so much just here that just wasn't working. And when you could have the best structure in the world, but if you're not switched on mentally and you're not going to be playing 4 quarters of footy, against a good team like Port Adelaide, you're not going to come out on top. It was a tough one tonight. I thought last week was tough, sitting amongst the Richmond supporters at Marvel and copying it from them, but Port Adelaide supporters tonight make every other supporter base look incredibly classy. So that just added to it. What are we, 2-4 now? 2-4. I haven't looked at what our percentage is. But yeah, we're a long way back now. I try to look at positives every week, but interesting that Brad Hill didn't finish the game. He was subbed off, I think. Did Vitale play the last quarter? I'm not sure, but I think Brad Hill was subbed off with a leg injury of sorts. But to me, I would genuinely not be surprised if that was just a cover-up and it was just get him off the ground, he's not playing a good game, and potentially means that they can say, well, he's injured and he doesn't play next week, and that's just a shit position to be in as a football club. We have the players to be a good team, but we are just not putting it together tonight. The one positive tonight, and I said this to my missus while we're watching the game, is the difference between getting pumped last week versus this week is I can sit back and watch Rowan Marshall run around and do his thing. I can sit back and enjoy Rowan Marshall being back. That was the only benefit. I don't know what Marshall ended up doing. He probably didn't even do much. 16 disposals, 23 hitouts, 284 metres gained. He had 124 fantasy points. He was the 5th or 6th best ranked player on the ground in his first game back from an injury. Those are the performances that we come to expect from Rowan Marshall. We know what he's going to dish up every week. We know what Jack Steele's going to dish up every week. We don't know what anyone else is going to do. We genuinely don't. I feel like internally, they don't know either. They don't have the trust. They don't back their teammate to win the contest. That's why we all go in for the same ball, because they don't back their teammate to do it. I feel like I'm not ranting right now, but that's just how I think most Saints fans will be feeling right now is we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know what team's going to show up. And when you're seeing players like Ben Long pushing blokes over in front of the umpire, blatantly giving away 50s, not giving us stuff, that just sets the tone. And it was even worse that he didn't get dragged after that. Or at least I didn't see him get dragged. But that, as a coach, if something happens like that, you need to set the standard, set an example, do that again, take him off, call him and say, mate, you do that again and you're not playing next week. We need to be tougher. And Rats has said it, and I hate saying the word, but we're playing soft. We're a soft footy team right now. We're easy to play against. Teams really don't need a game plan. They just need to bomb the ball into the 50 and we panic, turn it over, and they kick easy goals out the back. And that's something we didn't do last year. We played tough, contested footy last year, and if we lost, it was really because the other team played a great game. And that's when you look at the losses we had, apart from a couple that we coughed up from big leads, majority of them were playing teams that had a really good 3 or 4 quarters and got the win. But tonight, for the majority of the game, I thought the Port were okay, but we just made them look incredible. We gave them the time. We allowed them to play the game they wanted to play, and that's the most frustrating thing. Is I'm happy to sit back and say, well, the team just beat us because they were so much better, but I can't tell how great the opposition is because we're making every team right now look amazing. And the next 2 weeks, you look at Hawthorn today, come from behind win against Adelaide, full of confidence. And then you look at the week after, we're playing at Metricon against the Gold Coast, who had a huge win against Sydney, and Ben King kicks 5, and they're getting their mojo back at home at least. The next 2 weeks aren't easy. We thought, okay, get to 2-4, we're going to lose this week, and the next 2 weeks we're gonna find somewhere to get a win. But next week, it's going to be a 50-50 the way we're going. We're going to get Paddy Ryder back. That's going to help us a lot. We saw how much Rowan Marshall just gave us a bit more first use of the ball. It didn't last long, but he gave us the best opportunity in the middle of the ground and around the ground. And Paddy Ryder's going to allow Rowan Marshall to go forward a bit more next week, and then vice versa. They'll rotate, obviously, so that helps us. But the next 2 weeks are going to be tough. If we can get to 4-4 and win the next two and get some players back from injury and find some sort of form before we play Geelong and Bulldogs, and Geelong found form yesterday, the Bulldogs are flying. Every week is going to be a big week for us. I can't imagine how Saints TV and how the club's going to be going if we lose the next 2 weeks. I just don't want to picture that at the moment, but it's to me, it's all above the shoulders. I genuinely, we can stress about structures and why players are playing in this position and why players are doing that. But at the end of the day, I really don't think our boys are switched on. There's something going on. I don't know exactly what it is. I've heard a couple of rumours, but none that have been proven correct, obviously. But there is something going on. I've seen losses, and I've seen losses where 10 of our players have had 20 or more touches. But this is like the Essendon game. We had Jack Steele at 35, and then I think the next best was 18. This is the same sort of game. We had a couple that were around the 27 mark and 30 mark, and then a big drop. A big drop. That means that we're basically carrying passengers. There's a couple of players playing their best, and then, there's too many that aren't doing the job. And if you're Jack Steele, you're just thinking in the rooms, what the hell are you boys doing? I'm doing as much as I can every week, and you boys are just, you're just not turning up. And the club talk shit every week. Brett Ratton, I don't know what he's going to say in his press conference. I don't know what he's going to say in his members video, but it better not be, disappointing. We heard that from Richo, and we don't want to get sucked into that again. We want answers. We want players to be accountable for their performances, and that if that means dropping some big names next week, well, so be it. We're playing Hawthorn. Drop a few big names, bring a few from the seconds. Paddy Wright is a definite in, so that means maybe a Joyce comes out, and whether we drop a mid and bring in Vital again to be the starting mid next week is another question, but that's all up to Ratton. And he supported a lot of the boys. He's backed them every week when they've had a poor performance. He hasn't dropped big names yet. Maybe this is the week to do it. Maybe coming back to Melbourne against Hawthorn is the week to make a statement, because the season's still there. We're 2-4. It's not done, despite what people are saying. But if we just sit and hope that things turn around and not change anything, that's the definition of insanity. That's crazy to think that if we just rock up and play the exact same way every week, the result's going to be different. It's not. We need to change something, whether it's attitude or it's structure. I think it's more attitude than structure. But yeah, until that happens, we're really not going to know where we're at. So it's going to be a tough week on the track for the boys. It's going to be a tough week for me. I don't know what I'm going to be posting about, but hopefully we get a good podcast on Tuesday night and we can dissect this and talk about it in more detail. But yeah, that's kind of my take on the game, guys. I flew over here. I want to go to every interstate game, but if we're going to serve that up every week, I feel like I'm putting in more effort than a lot of the players flying over and watching the game and dealing with the interstate support from opposition. So, yeah, I'll try and turn up every week, and as we all should, but it's hard when we see about 15 or 16 blokes every week that just, they've got more in them and they're just not pushing. There was too many times that our player was trailing the Port Adelaide player by 5 or 10 metres, and you're thinking, it's 5 minutes into the game. How are you 5-10 metres behind someone? You need to be man on man, arm on arm, right next to them. But you're not. You're just giving them too much leeway, letting them do what they want, giving them too much respect, and they're hurting you on the scoreboard. So, big changes are ahead for the club. We need to, Simon Lethlean said during the week that we need to fix things. Ratton said that every week. The players have said that every week. And no one's really stood up and backed up their words. So Saints fans, I know, get very frustrated, and I'm with you. I'm very frustrated too, but there's not much else we can do. That's the shit part. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it, guys. So I'm going to go through some of these comments. There's already 400 comments, so let's see how we go. Nick says mathematics says it's not done. Everything else suggests it is. great call there. Statistically, we're 2-4. It's a long season. Things can change. But the way we're playing, when you look at the way we're playing and just the attitude of the players, their body language, it's just shit. It's just shit. Dimitri says, players have lost the coach. There's been something that has happened in-house. Loney out, Dean Kent in. Not a bad call. I think Dean Kent kicked a couple for Sandy. Paddy Ryder had a massive game for Sandy yesterday. As did Clavanero. I think he had a good game as well. So could be a couple of changes there. Who knows? Catherine says, the fact that we're relying on Marshall and Ryder coming back shows our lack of depth as well. Yep, I agree with you there. We're struggling in the midfield department, and Luke Dunstan had a shocking game last week, but he had 46 disposals for Sandy, and that's what Luke Dunstan does. He beats it up in the VFL, but every time we've played him lately in the AFL, he's struggled. He may get a second chance if our midfield, if we drop a few midfielders going into the Hawthorn game, bring in Dunstan again and give him another chance. But yeah, the depth is quite thin at VFL level. Mitchell says, only got Geelong twice, Richmond at the G, Dogs at Marvel, Brisbane away, West Coast away, Sydney away. Yeah, it's going to be a tough run. Seeing it live was even worse. That's from Barry. Converting in our forward 50s is an issue. We need to trust each other's ability. I agree, and we don't do that. And we don't go for our goals anymore. We grab the ball and we just we keep handballing too much. We were a good kicking team last year. We played direct football, and that put defences under pressure because we didn't give them time to set up. But now we've got, a kick on, but we're going for a handball and it breaks up the play. We just aren't playing that fast, quick, frenetic football that we played last year. And I know that Ratton loves that football. That's what he brought to Carlton. That's what he brought to us in the first probably season and a half, where we played fast attacking football, attractive football. And this year, apart from the second half against West Coast, we've played some of the worst football out of any team this season. And North have played some shit footy, and we're matching them for that. We need to make some drastic changes. That's from Shane. Higgins looked unfit and lazy, didn't chase his opponent defensively. Poor umpiring. That's from Adrian. Umpiring was pretty shit. There were a lot of non-calls, but I wouldn't say that was any sort of, that wouldn't have changed the result at all. Supporters need to protest, stay away next week, go and watch your local team, back the grassroots. Yeah, I really don't want that to happen. We need to support them, but at the same time, they need to show something, and they need to show something fast, don't they? Bevan says, I think the best thing to come out of this week is that haircut, mate. Looking fresh. Appreciate that. Got the haircut. Yep. Thanks. Glad someone's noticed. Marcus says, Jake, what the fuck is going on? Mate, if I knew the answer, I'd be the coach of the footy club, but I'm not. I really hope that Brett Ratton has got some sort of understanding, but lately, some of the selections and just the approach from the team, you'd think that he's scratching his head as much as we are, and that's a bit of a worry. Jack Steele's the most reliable player in the AFL. That's from Jordan. I agree with that. Like I said, win or loss, he just does what he has to do. Crouch did not put in this week. That's from Shane. We didn't lose by 80 points. Better than last week. That's from Adrian. Mate, if that's a positive for you, then yeah, tough. That's going to be a long year. Marcus says, when will everyone wake up and realise this is reality? We are a bottom 6 team with little to no structure, leadership or care. It's actually pathetic. Jack says, mate, you're an absolute trooper for heading over and enduring that. Thanks heaps from all of us Saints fans. Appreciate that, Jack. I think, I get a lot of comments every week after losses like this, and people are saying, mate, don't do the review, don't go to the games, why do you bother? And I'm like, someone's got to bother. We all need an outlet. We all need to go somewhere and vent and talk about how shit our club's been going, and if that makes us all feel better during the week and we can get that off our chest, then I'm doing my job. So someone's got to do it. I'm happy to do it. It's therapeutic for me at least. I don't know how it is for everyone else, but it helps me deal with it. So, you know, if that helps other people deal with it, then perfect. I hate to say it. This is from Christian. I hate to say it, but I don't think Ratton is the right coach. I think it's too soon to tell. We'll know at the halfway mark. It's round 6. By round 12, if we're still struggling, there's massive question marks on Brett Ratton. But if there's an internal issue and it's between the players and there's something going on, that's out of a coach's hands. You know, that's something a coach can't fix. The players need to fix it. They need to put their hand up, take responsibility and fix what's going on. Right now, I can't say that many players are putting their hand up and willing to change the history of this club. You know, we're a one premiership club. We're a joke at the moment. Port Adelaide fans are taking the piss. I'm getting sick of every fan base taking the piss, to be quite frank. But we egg that on ourselves. We dish up the shit and we cop it because, you know, like I said at halftime to my girlfriend, the Port fans are feral, yeah. But if we play good football, the first 5 minutes, they were quiet. You know, Jack Higgins kicked that goal in the pocket. We were tackling. We had repeat inside 50s. Didn't get scoreboard pressure like we deserved. But they were quiet. And they were frustrated with their own team. But then for the rest of the game, we made them look like, you know, the best team in the AFL. Which, I mean, to be fair, they're probably right up there. But they were all over us. And we kind of asked for it in the end. You know, we cop it. But our team doesn't really back us up at the moment, do they? Kieran says, Jake, I think your mood tells the whole story. We're at the acceptance stage of the team being cooked. Yeah, it's getting to that point. But I really hope that we can swing it around. I'm never going to lose faith. And I really hope the players haven't lost faith. It's too early in the year to train for 6 months in pre-season. And then after 3 or 4 bad weeks, you just turn off. That's soft. That's mentally weak. We need to grow up and just show up next week and get the win. Go to 3 and 4, get some percentage back, and then go to the Gold Coast and see what we can do there. Colin says, thanks for doing the review. Win or loss, enjoy watching after the game. Thanks, Colin. Thanks for that, mate. Get the tissues out. Nah, I'm not going to go that far, mate. I'm not going to get the tissues out. I'm not as soft as some of the boys that played tonight, that's for sure. Taryn says, too many fossils in one team. Reminds me of Collingwood. Isaac says, I understand he got injured, but Brad Hill really does need to pick up his game. Yes, he kicked a goal, but man, that's about it. If I look at the stats, I'm not backing him up, by the way. Just relax there. But there were 7 Saints that were worse off than Brad Hill tonight. Like Jake Carlisle, he had... How many disposals did he have? 5. Ben Long had 6 and gave away a stupid 50. Max King had 7, didn't get near it. Jack Bytel, funnily enough, he came on in the last quarter as the emergency. He had 6 disposals straight off the bat. He had more than a lot of other players on the ground. What did Sinclair have? I'm curious to see. He had 16, so okay. Thought it was a bit quieter than that. Pete says, the club should refund you for the efforts to go over there and watch such a shit show. That'd be nice. Pay for the hotel and the flight back. That'd be good. To be fair, the players should just not accept their pay the last couple of weeks. They don't deserve it. They're, there's some people that deserve it more than them, and they need to pull their fingers out and show something next week, especially at Marvel at home against a team that we should beat. That's the worst part, is that we've lost the last couple of weeks being the underdogs, but next week we're the favourites again, or maybe we won't be. You know, I think we probably will be, but if we lose being favourites, shit's going to hit the fan even more than it has this week. It's going to be tough. We're not playing as a team. We need to go back to lockdown. That's from Martine. Yeah, we're not a team at the moment. And like I said, I don't know if there's any truth to some of these internal things going on, but if there is, there's some gaps in the team. There's some groups there. They're not connected. There's no chemistry. That bond that we had in the hub last year at Noosa completely thrown out the window now. Radley says, cheers for fronting up to read these comments. I can imagine they might get a little rough. Yeah, they've been pretty rough the last couple of weeks, but as long as they're not rough towards me, it's perfectly fine. Our ball movement was slow and easy to defend. That's from Brogan. I agree. I was even thinking, we're losing by 50 points, right? Just take the game on, play fast, make Port Adelaide uncomfortable, but we allow teams to just sit in a position. Aliir had he was one of the best players on the ground because he could just float in the back line. He didn't have a direct opponent. We just bomb it on his head, let him do whatever he wanted, and he had a day out. You know, we don't have players that can just have day outs anymore because we're giving teams so much space. They can pinpoint a player on the lead. They can, hit a target from 50 metres away because their players got 10 metres on their direct opponent. It's just easy football against us. We're an easy team to play against, and that's the worst part. Please drop Long for the rest of the season. That's from Grady. Yeah, he would be lucky to play a game next week, that's for sure, especially if Jimmy Webster's fit. I think it'd be a straight swap. Jimmy Webster and Ben Long out. Yeah, I might wrap it up there, guys. We'll go through a few more, maybe. Marcus says, no cohesion in this team. It's like nobody trusts each other. Disappointing. Can't respond again. Adrian says, can you put your shorts on and play for us? We need some passion. Just put me forward pocket. I'll snap a few. Riley says, Josh Battle is shit this year, man. It's doing my head in. I know, Josh Battle's one that he doesn't get a lot of airtime. He doesn't get a lot of criticism, but he's got the body. He's got the makings of being a big player for us, back or forward. He played back last week and got towed up on Jack Rewalt. I think we played him a bit more forward this week. Again, didn't do much. He's in that same bracket as Sinclair, where we thought they'd have big years going into this year, and at the moment they're just not living up to the hype. And whether we overrated some of these players, I don't know. But 2 weeks ago against West Coast, they showed what they can do, and 2 weeks later we're back to scratching our heads thinking, what team is this? This isn't the team from last year. Maybe we're just tanking because we want a good draft pick to get Ben King. Who knows? There could be some crazy shit going on. Last year we had pace and pressure. How does that just go? That's from Heidi. I don't know. That's mental. That's running. That's gut running when your body's saying, no, I'm tired, but you keep moving. Right now, our bodies are saying, no, I'm tired, and mentally we're checking out saying, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to stop chasing now. We need to have that mentality of you just keep going. We just don't have that right now. We just give up way too easily. We allow teams to get on a run of 2 or 3 goals, and we just give up. And that's not a structural thing. That's a mental thing. That's... You look at your teammate and your teammate's looking down and, I just can't stuff. And then they look at their other teammate and his head's down. I can't be bothered. Body language is an incredible thing in football. You saw against West Coast, we lay a few big tackles. Mackenzie lays the tackle. Next player lays the there's something called the bystander effect. And that basically means that, if something's going on, say you're on a train and someone's being teased and no one says anything to stop the person from being teased. You, in turn, don't do anything because no one else is doing anything. The second one person says, hey, mate, that's wrong, then it encourages people to say, yeah, you're right, that's wrong, don't do that again. The same thing goes in football. One player doesn't lay a tackle, the next player's like, well, he didn't lay a tackle, so I'm not going to lay a tackle. And it's the opposite if you're on. One player lays a tackle, the next player lays a tackle, and so forth, and that's it, But right now, there's too many players not doing the right thing, and it's kind of spreading to the rest of the team. Just want to give a shout out to Dougal Howard. He killed it. That's from Lachlan. Good call. I thought Dukes did a pretty good job on Charlie Dixon. He pissed off a lot of the Port Adelaide fans because he got Charlie Dixon in really good one-on-one positions and took some good grabs and spoiled him. And really, I think he only kept him to the 1 goal, I'm pretty sure. So... really good effort there from Dukes in a defence that's been under a lot of pressure lately. I might leave it there, guys. I think it's been a tough one. I gotta order some room service. I gotta get some champagne in here, pop a bottle, maybe have a couple, and fall asleep and pretend that this game didn't happen, and just enjoy wandering around Adelaide tomorrow and relaxing before flying back to Melbourne and prepping for the Hawthorn game. So I think I might wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate you all staying up late and watching it and commenting and sending stars and supporting the channel, even though it's been a tough year, to be honest, posting after such a big lead up and a lot of positivity from last year's performances. But yeah, hopefully enjoyed the review. Again, not really one where I thought tactics was the major issue. I would have gone into it a bit more. But when the boys aren't mentally switched on, I think it's deeper than that. And you could have the best tactics in the world, but you wouldn't get the job done with the mentality that we're dishing up every week. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, or whatever time it is back in Melbourne. I think it's 10:15 or something. Enjoy the next hour or two of your Sunday, and hopefully the boys can sort their shit out on the track. The club can be transparent about this and be honest about where we're at, and make some big calls going to selection against Hawthorn next week, where some players are going to have to be dropped. You know, these performances, it's a trend now. This is a trend, something Rat said he didn't want. We need to change that trend, and the only way to do that is at the selection table. So, yeah, that's it from me, guys. Stay tuned for the podcast. Hopefully Tuesday night it'll be me, Marshy, and Joycey back in the studio to talk about this game and preview the Hawthorn game. So until then, guys, appreciate your support. Thanks for watching. Keep your heads up. I know it's going to be a tough, long week, but all we can do is, back the boys to turn up next week. But so far, they haven't done that. Hopefully they do it next week. But until then, guys, take care and go you Saints. Thanks, guys.